Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome back to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. I am back with another 12 recs from 12 Friends reading vlog. I am vlogging all the recs that I got at the beginning of the year. I have a playlist. I will have all the vlogs except for one because I DNF'd that one, so I didn't even bother to do anything on that, so sorry. But so far only one DNF, so that's good. So I am back. I feel like I've done a bunch of these lately because I just did two pretty recently from last month. But I am going to be reading Ghosts of Halloween by Layla Faye. This one was recommended to me by @RachelHasNoShelfControl over on Instagram, and I kind of held off on this one specifically for October. Obviously, Halloween, spooky season. This is, I think, a white choose between, well, it's definitely a white choose between some vengeful ghosts and a troubled, kind of damaged woman. So I'm interested to see how this is going to go. I did already start it, so I am kind of going to break this up into a few different parts. So, but before I dive into that, let's go ahead and dive into this vlog. Okay, so this book is actually a bind up of three, I think, like novellas that Layla Faye did. And so this is just like the bind up of all three of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do check-ins at the end of each part because it's split up into part 1, 2, 3. So that's kind of how I'm going to do this vlog specifically. So the first section, part 1, I already finished. And this is called Jacked. That was the original like novella. And so let's dive into what this is because this is pretty like smut filled. So I mean, this is, I think, just going to be pure smut from what I'm seeing so far. In this, we have Jack, Caden, and Silas, and they are our heroes in this story. And then I'm trying to remember, what is her name? I already forgot it. Hold on, let me look it up. Okay, sorry. I totally forgot her name. Okay, so Harlow is our heroine, and the start of this, I think there was like a prequel little like short thing too that was included, but basically you see Jack kind of crushing on her. He was her brother's best friend, and he's been crushing on her for years since she was like 16, but couldn't really go there because of his best friend. She has a prosthetic arm, I can't remember if it's like, I think it's just part of her hand or something. And I don't know how she got that. I don't think it's really explained, which is kind of weird. We don't have an explanation yet for that. But she had kind of like a loser boyfriend, and in that like prequel thing, he's like kind of pining after her and telling her to break up with her boyfriend, and he's in love with her and wants to be with her, and to show up at like this haunted house thing I think they're going to go to later that night, and she never shows up, and then her brother ends up getting killed that night. Then we jump to the Jacked storyline. So then we jump into part 1, and this sets up where she is actually kind of hooking up with a stranger. You kind of get the idea that she's pretty promiscuous. She already was, because when her and Jackie were arguing, she's like, everyone thinks I'm a slut and blah blah blah. And he literally tells her, like, I don't care if you're a slut as long as, you know, you come to me. Like, I don't care what other guys you slept with. I love you. Didn't handle it the best way when you're talking to a woman. But, so she's hooking up with a guy, not really feeling anything, just doing it. And then ends up going to that haunted house, that house that her brother had died at. And my view is that she was going there. So I think she was going there to kill herself, because she goes and takes like a bunch of pills. Like she's going to, I think, kill herself at that location. But the thing is there are 3 vengeful spirits, and it's Jack, Caden, and Silas, and they were all best friends with her brother, and they are now dead. Which you don't fully find that out till like the end of this part, but I think we already knew that's what it was, like based on the blurb, and it's kind of obvious. But she ends up getting taken by Jack. She gets like bound up, tied up. And he's like, kind of like, she doesn't know it's him. He's from behind her. Then these other 2 guys come in wearing masks, and he starts to kind of mess with her sexually, and she's just kind of like freaking out. And then the other guys, Caden and Silas, kind of have a thing going on where Caden's older. He's an older man. I think he was like in his 40s maybe. And then Silas is kind of his guy, but Silas doesn't, like, he's the one that gives it to Caden. So they start hooking up like in front of them at one point, where Caden's giving him a blowjob and all this kind of stuff. And then Caden comes over and eats her out. It's just a lot of smut. So it's a lot of smut going on in this first novella, and she has no idea what's going on. And she's like, well, you guys won't be able to get me off. And it's obvious she has some like trauma. Like, she can't really get off sexually. So there's that. But she ends up, hooking up with them. Silas isn't totally involved, but Jack gets involved. I think he had sex with her in this part. He's pierced, but she still doesn't know who any of them are. And then she gets like frustrated. She's like, take me down. Like, I'm done with this game. Just give me my freaking pills. Because they had knocked it out, like made it so she couldn't take the pills. And so I can just get on with this. Like, I don't want to do this. And so they end up taking her down, and then they chase her around the house a little bit. And so the end of this is her like running from them. And all of a sudden she sees one, like Jack, who she doesn't know it's really Jack. And he's like floating above the ground. And he takes off his mask, and it's him, and she like freaks out because they're supposed to be dead, and here they are, ghosts. So that's kind of the sum up so far for the first part. So what I'll say is it's okay. I was reading it physically, and then I ended up getting the audiobook because it was pretty cheap with the Kindle version. And because this is like 400 pages bound up all together. And I was kind of worried it was just going to be all smut, and I would kind of like not be engaged. Plus, I'm doing the Trick or Treat readathon right now, so we're trying to read as much as we can this weekend to get more points. So I kind of wanted to move through this a little bit faster. But I still have another bunch of other audiobooks I have to get to too, because I have a few releases coming out in like a couple days. So I might have to pause on this one and go back and forth. But it's okay. It's just mostly sex. And then I think, I can't remember. Anyways, whatever. So it's just mostly smut. But I wouldn't be as annoyed with it just being all smut if it was just those little novellas. But it being all bound up together, you kind of expect a fuller story. So I don't know why they are blaming her, because their plan is to kind of like torture her for the night. And I don't know if they're going to like kill her or just torture her. They blame her for their death and for them being like stuck there. So that's kind of a mystery right now. We don't really know why and why they blame her. So once I finish the second part, I will be back for another check-in. And we'll see if I get some more answers and if there's some better plot development. All right, see you guys in a bit.
Hey guys, so I am back with my second check-in on Ghosts of Halloween. I finished the second part, and I don't have a ton to say because it is mostly smut, but I will say the second part is mostly dedicated to kind of finding out why. First, mostly dedicated to sex and multiple sharing scenes and hookups. I'm not going to go over the different sharing scenes and who's doing what. who cares, right? Just know you're in for a smutty time with 3 different vengeful ghosts, but the other part that goes into the second part is finding out why they blame her, why they think Harlow was the cause of them being in this kind of cursed situation, whatever it is. So we do get some answers finally. So we find out that their brother, I think they might have been involved kind of in some gang stuff. They weren't fully gangs, but they had like stolen a lot of money from a gang leader. And it was a big amount. And when they were hanging out that Halloween in this like kind of haunted house to hang out and everything, her brother, I think his name was Noah, if I'm remembering his name correctly, he let them know, like, oh, he's like, says he knows who took his money, and he was kind of making some remarks. And so they're like, well, he fucking knows. He's after us. We need to get out of here. And Jack's like, well, we can't just leave, because he doesn't want to leave Harlow. He's like in love with her. I think that's her name, right? Harlow? Anyways. And so they're talking about it, and he's like, well, I have a gun, it'll work out fine, whatever. Of course, it doesn't work out fine. We all know that they all die. But what ends up happening is one of his Goonie guys, like that drug lord's guys, comes to kill them. He shoots her brother. They kill the guy. He ends up dying. But his last wish was basically kind of the thing that ends up keeping them here on this plane as ghosts, because he makes them promise to look out for his sister. And they all vow, they promise to look out for her. And then shortly after that, they get attacked by more guys and they all die. And then they basically kind of wake up as ghosts in this house. And they are stuck there because she is in danger. Supposedly, they think that she could die in that house in the future. And so they've been stuck there. And they're able to be like in a physical form on Halloween, and that's it. And that's kind of when they get their sex on. Now, Jack hasn't hooked up or anything, obviously, but Caden and Silas, I think it was, they are gay. They're into each other. So, I mean, they're basically bi, but Silas was really mostly obsessed with like Caden. So they basically break the news to her. She freaks out. She tries to like kill herself with one of their like knives again. And she's like, I need to be punished. So that leads into a whole like scene where Jack lays into her. Oh, because, okay, so that's what happened where they died. But you also find out why they blame her. And they blame her because she had gotten that prosthetic. And she was so like needy for love and attention. She was pretty promiscuous. She always went out there looking for it and looking for attention. And she had ended up bragging about it and how her brother bought this prosthetic for her, which was like this 20 grand thing. And this guy later ended up working for that drug lord. He told him about it. And so he looked into her brother's finances and pretty much deduced they stole the money. And so it was really because of her that they died. Then it's because of her and their vow to the brother that they are stuck there. So that's kind of like the loose of them like hating her. And she feels so guilty and wants to die. She already wanted to die. And so they do this big punishment scene. Silas really lays into her. The guys all let out their frustrations on blaming her. And then Silas actually gets really into it and realizes he wants her. He never really wanted anybody but Caden. And he makes her give him a blowjob. They do some DP action. So there's a lot of sex. There's a lot of sex in this book. Just know that. So, I mean, I'm glad I got the audiobook because these scenes would be pretty repetitive for me. Like, I'm kind of not in that place in my reading journey now at this point where I just want repeated smut. And that's kind of what this is. I think it's more okay when you read it as like a novella. You're kind of like expecting it's like a novella smutty, white shoe situation. But, if it's a bind up, you're kind of wanting more. Like, I want more than like 400 pages of smut, if that makes sense. So at the end of that, like that part 2, after they have that, punishing sex, all this kind of stuff, she's like something about her dying, and like Silas is like, don't worry, that's coming. And so we're going to lead into what their plan is into the third part. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, so I will check back in with you guys once I finish the book. Hopefully I'll finish it today. And that way I can get moving on my other audiobooks because I kind of just want to finish this. All right, I'll see you guys on the last clip.
Hey guys, so I am kind of doing a later check-in. I didn't get to the check-in when I needed to. And yesterday I just didn't do it. So, it's been over a day since I actually finished Ghosts of Halloween. And it just didn't go great for me. I ended up with a lower rating for this because this was just, I probably wouldn't have made it through it if I didn't have the audiobook, because it was just dragging on and on and on. It was literally over 400 pages of just 100% smut. So basically what happens in the third part is the heroine, Harlow, I think her name is, she kind of had just found out the truth about how they blamed her, which still is kind of flimsy to me. I'm like, you're blaming her for the fact that that the guy found out about what you stole the money. Well, no, you stole money. She didn't do it intentionally. She was just kind of bragging to a guy about getting that prosthetic arm and how her brother got it for her. How is that her fault? Like, it's just kind of ridiculous. But basically they had a plan that they're kind of stuck there because they had to keep their vow to protect her. And they think like if one of them kills her and they do like some kind of weird wish, they'll all be able to be together in the afterlife or somewhere. I don't know. It's very flimsy. But of course, as they're like about to do this, I'm skipping, there's 500 sex scenes, okay? I'm not even touching on the sex scenes. They get so boring and repetitive, like I don't care. But then of course she had previously been raped, which she kind of admitted, by her like ex-boyfriend. Cause, oh, I forgot to bring this up, but the night that she was supposed to go meet, Jack on Halloween, she didn't show up. Well, that's why, because he had told her to break up with her boyfriend. She did go do that, and then him and his friend raped her. So these guys show up at this place randomly, knowing she was there, and decide they're going to attack her again and rape her again. Okay, sorry about that. So they're going to attack her again and rape her again. And of course, now the ghosts are ready to get their revenge for her. And she kills one of the guys. And so when they kill one of the guys, Jack all of a sudden gets this urge and he like goes up to the guy's mouth and like does something. And then all of a sudden he passes out and he comes back to and he's alive or whatever. So they kill the other guys and they do the same thing. I think they're like taking the guy's soul or something. I don't fucking know, you guys. This was ridiculous. And so they all are back to life and they're all going to be together and have a happily ever after. Now, what I'll say, what even made this even more brutal was there was a whole Christmas, like, I don't know if you want to call it extended epilogue, or maybe it was a separate novella she had done, but it was like another like 100 pages, it felt like, of additional smut of them like being regular couple, them all experimenting together. At the end, you kind of do have Jack being curious. He never was curious sexually into men, but he started to get curious and want to like do stuff with the guys too. So it's just basically like repeated chapters of them all fucking together. So that's it. So, I'm pretty disappointed with this. It is just smut. I really thought the characters were very two-dimensional, no real growth. I was kind of bored through most of it. Another reason I finished this was I was reading it during the, readathon that I'm doing, the Trick or Treat readathon, and it counted for one of my spaces, and I wanted to clear out my bingo board on the weekend. So I was like gonna push through this so I could, because they don't let you count it if you DNF. So anyways, I just didn't love this. I thought it was very surface level, very just pure smut, and I'm just not in that place. If you want nonstop smut, some sharing, some good kinky times, this could be good for you. It might be better as just the individual like little novellas split up and taking a break in between them instead of just reading it all as one bind up, because then it's just a lot of smut. But that's just kind of, I'm not really in that place anymore. I love kinky stuff. I love smut, but I want like the sex scenes to mean more. Even if it's erotic romance and they're like learning each other through sex and all that, I still want some type of emotional connection. And I didn't care about any of these characters, and I didn't really believe that they were all together and happy together. It just didn't really make sense to me. So anyways, I ended up giving this one 2 stars, and 4 chilies. I know it's kind of harsh, but I just got to I have to be realistic. I was going to give it 3 stars, but as I was thinking about how annoyed I was, I was like, I'm going to give it a 2. So I apologize for the person that recommended me this. I feel like I've had a couple bad ones from the 12x from 12 friends, but that's kind of the risk you take when you're taking people's, random recs that like may not be your same style. You just never know. Or you might find something that you never would have picked up and loved. So that's what's interesting about the 12 recs from 12 friends kind of challenge. So I still want to keep doing it next year too. I did notice Helen, from what Helen reads, did something really cool that I might borrow from her. And she did it where she picked out of her like favorite booktubers, that person's like one of their top 10 romances of 2020, that year. And like, so this year it was like from 2024, and then she put those, as her like 12 recs from 12 friends. And I thought that was kind of a cool idea, because sometimes people don't answer your posts to give you recs, or they'll recommend stuff that you've already read and all that kind of stuff. So that could be an option. But anyway, sorry, I'm rambling and it's getting dark. Just got home from work, and I'm gonna head and eat dinner. So thank you so much for watching this. I don't even know if people really even like these vlogs for the 12 recs from 12 friends, but I thought I'd give it a try this year. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave me a like, comment down below, and I will see you guys on the next vlog.